What's good, YouTube? Today we're back here with another top 10, and this top 10 is going to be the top 10 cards that most, in my opinion, need a reprint in 2017, not including the Mega Tins. So all these cards would not be able to end up in a Mega Tin this next year. My honorable mention is representing all the banned cards that just got errated in the OCG. Bryonic is errated, so is Imperial Order. All the cards that need erratas to come over here, I did not want to go ahead and put in this top 10 either, but I wanted to give them an honorable mention because I know a lot of you guys in the comment section down below are going to want them to appear over here. So them appearing would mean they are unbanned, and that's kind of a different discussion. So I did want to give them the honorable mention as we head into the top 10, but tell me in the comments below what cards you think that were not on this list would end up on the list if you were doing it. So in 10th place, Madeline. Madolches are a huge mainstay to the fandom of Yu-Gi-Oh! Everybody really likes, well, not everybody, but a lot of people really like watching the gameplay when they explode off, have really cool OTKs with Brilliant Fusion, and Madeline is the last expensive piece for them. Not reprinted, all the way from Redo, Return of the Duelist. So I would think she's definitely deserving. I could actually see a rarity upgrade for her, though, unfortunately, because that would look so bae and ultra rare. Not to sound like the uber casual inner scrub leaking out. Don't worry, for the most part, the rest of this top 10 will not have that leaking out, and will be mostly competitive cards. Number 9, so a card that we see in Dark Synchro. It's a dragon. It gets brought out by Zolkin. Beals is years old now. It's the original Premium Gold, and we've already gone through the third set of Premium Gold. And he's just been a $15 card consistently, which doesn't hurt the wallet too bad, but it's about time he got like a common version or a super or ultra version, some other version that's just reprinted and easier to get, because when cards get years old like this, it's just hard to justify not having them in some way, shape, or form more available to players that are newer and getting into the games. Toon Kingdom it's just always been expensive, like a $20 plus card, and it's from Dragons of Legend 2, so it's likely, if they redo how Dragons of Legend 3 was, that we'll see it in Dragon of Legend 4, but it definitely deserves a reprint. Like, Toons were actually a capable mechanic that had some really funny gameplay if you've watched more casual Yu-Gi tubing overall, but it actually had aspects that could have been good. It had a lot of things. I think if it was more available, it might have taken at least a regional by now. And let's go ahead and get into Bosch. So this year's Megatins missed Quaking Mirror Force, and we're starting to see it side decked a lot more, main decked by certain decks like Heroes, and it's definitely one of the more powerful cards. It's able to set their entire fields, but it's an ultra rare that is now $15. An ultra rare, if you don't know, there are now 4 per box. How many is that per case? 4 times 12? 48 per case. Yet it has a $15 price tag because so many people play this game that it's just up there. Like, it's actually insane how many people need copies of this card. So I could definitely see it being a super rare. It would look clean as a super rare. And maybe, you know, the OP packs, like OP 4 or 5. But it definitely deserves a reprint. And I would not think a starter deck reprint would be too appropriate for it, but it definitely should become more available. Speaking about cards that have not been printed in a very long time, Abyss Rising, what is that now, 4 years ago? Mulan Glacia has just avoided all sorts of reprints, and it's pretty surprising to me. I think its price tag sits now at like maybe 15 to 20. I'm actually going to look it up in the background while we talk about this, but Mulan Glacia definitely deserving of some kind of reprint. And yeah, it's sitting at $12 for the Unlims and $12 for the first set. So it's actually gone down over time. But even at $12, it's just not seen any kind of more ready availability. And yeah, it was $3 for a while, but it keeps cycling back in, kind of like Grand Soil. So I definitely think it deserves it. Water strategies keep coming and going. I would definitely want to see it get reprinted. Now, here's an even older card that is in so many strategies that see the top cut. Into the Void, typically in more degenerate decks, though, so you may not have very fond memories of Into the Void, but it's definitely a turbo and enabler card that lets you thin through your deck at the cost of making sure your hand's going to be completely gone. This also helps Void Ogre Dragon by ensuring your hand will be dumpable. I think Into the Void, the Shining Darkness, how old is that? That's maybe 7 years, 8 years? It's insane, like, that this card has never seen a reprint, and even after its initial spikes, I definitely think it deserves at least an OP Super. It already comes in Ultimate Rare, but man, this card just comes in and out of the game, spikes over and over. Definitely one of the, like, better cards that we don't see in as many players' strategies simply because they don't have access to it. The next is Sphere Mode. Duels Pack Battle City has actually been out for quite a while now. If you remember the release of Juragetto, it's been like, what, a year and a half, maybe 2 years? And I realize it's a Duelist pack and a show card, but with that upcoming reprint set based on all the characters in the show, I could see this in there. And its price point of like 20 to 25 plus, and it's not readily available. The quantities are very low when they're getting sold, so I think it definitely deserves a reprint, by far. It's also got that nice niche that I always talk about in market watches, where it's collectible and it's playable, which means it's always going to be highly sought after. I think it would be very smart of Konami to put this in their set, because it would help the set sell and add that nice playability to a collectible set that it so desperately needs. That set will be coming out in March, but this is the number 3 slot, Psy-Frame Lord Omega. I do not think I've heard of calls for a reprint more ever than for this card. This card is one of the best cards in the game, but its price tag is stuck consistently over $40, and it's just always been so hard to get. Yet, when you play it, you also probably need 2 to 3, most of the time 3, because you're trying to loop their hand. Now, a lot of people are also calling for this card to get hit so that the loops aren't, like, complete, because getting looped is no fun. You're not getting to play, right? But it definitely has very unique interactions. One of the only cards to be able to interact with Pot of Desires. One of the only cards to be able to hit the hand safely without destroying the cards, as well as revealing to let them know. It's able to dodge kaijus, because you can use it on either player's main phases. So if you're not greedy, you can use it before your opponent has their turn player priority. Just an insanely amazing extra deck card that realistically needs a reprint. And I also say 3 to 2. I know that GoFu Metal Foes only play 1 because they're only planning to synchro for it once. But overall, if you're playing strategies that centralize around making this card, you're playing multiples. And it's just going to always deserve its price tag. It definitely deserves it by how good it is. But I do think players should have this available to them, because it's getting older now, but a much older card all the way from Orcs in our second place, that a lot of people called for this to be the first place on this list when I was talking in a group discussion. MX Saber Invoker. Invoker is definitely one of the older cards. Let's go all the way back to wind-up format. This is when this card came out, and it's been the mainstay of many funny OTKs. I know there's just so much that it can do in the game that is both degenerate and awesome, but it's going to be turboing out the Zodiac / Junishishi monsters. So a lot of people need this. It's sitting at like $40 right now. It's a secret rare, never reprinted. It definitely needs a reprint to be readily available to duelists who plan to play the strategy. Duelists are also calling for it to kind of be hit, but it would need to be banned to be hit. I don't think it should be banned. I know it's a combo with Speedroid Terratop, and it would allow Terratop to not be a threat and help rank 3 engines if you get rid of this enabler, but I would hit Terratop before I hit this, in my opinion. But definitely one of the best cards that are going to help the Junishishi / Zodiac Beast, and definitely deserving of a reprint after so many years of not seeing a kind of reprint. Shoutouts to Tainted Wisdom for his cool FDKs with this, though. He was using it before it was cool, I guess. And finally, Minerva, the Exalted Lightsworn. A lot of you saw this number 1 coming. I really wanted to put shout-outs to my second honorable mention, Blood Mephist, on this list, but it would give the spoiler of the number 1 that prize cards would be on this list, and I wanted to be kind of a shock factor. But a lot of you would already know this is coming as well. Minerva is just insanely expensive, and it's finally cycled out over half of being the last prize card. We've had quite some time now with Utopia. I think that's like 5 total events, or 6 maybe, where Utopia has now been the prize card. So we really should see Minerva finally given to everybody. So many Lightsworn duelists want to play with this card. So many people in decks like Infernoids want to use this, and it's a huge advantage to the Infernoid players that have this versus the ones that will not. And that's going to be highly prevalent in the upcoming formats. So I really think that this should, it's both meta, it's got its own strategies, and I really think it deserves its reprint so that everybody should be able to play with it in the Zodiac format, as well as perhaps something that would help us, you know, counter it and innovate more over here with rank 4 strategies. I think we would even see this in like ABC decks to try to mill pieces and get off its effects, but I don't know about that one. But I definitely think that it's just an insane card with insane applications, and there's a lot of creativity to go in with it, since you can start resourcing your graveyard using this card. So what cards did I miss, guys? Should I have put funny collector cards like Fortress Whale in here that I kind of avoided? Should I have put maybe rarity upgrades along in with the reprints rather than just cards that we needed to see, like for the cost factor and budget players? But let me know, what did I miss? Because I think we had a long talk, and we cut it down to these 10. There were some others, and like I said, I wanted to keep the ban list cards out of these that were eroded, because that's a whole nother discussion. But thanks a lot for tuning in, and as always, smash the like button if you enjoyed it, and subscribe.